right, so today I'm here with Tim and Jan, and they are about to launch a new website that is specifically designed for traveling. And it's going to be a little different, so let him tell you a little bit about what it's going to be.
Well, thank you. So the biggest thing we looked at is travel planning takes a huge amount of time. And I mean, this is not just us saying this. We've talked to literally thousands of people. And they'll say, hey, look, we have to visit 15, 20 different websites. We've looked at the big travel platforms out there that everybody's used to.
No, like the ones we use right now.
Yeah, I won't mention them, but the ones out there that everybody uses right now. And the problem is that the data is either outdated, a lot of the places aren't there, or it's categorized wrong. I mean, you might say not there. I mean, they've been out of business for 2, 3, 4, 5 years.
We've run into a lot of that.
So what we're doing is we literally have just shy of 1 million locations, and the 1 million locations, we're individually looking at each and every last location, and we're focusing on the GPS coordinates. And not only the GPS coordinates for the location, but let's talk even like a waterfall, for example. In a waterfall, we'll do the GPS coordinates for both the waterfall and the trailhead, or the waterfall and the parking lot where you're going to park. So I think that's important, because if we just give you a location of a waterfall 5 miles into the woods, that does you nothing when you have to try to figure out where to park to go hike up to that waterfall.
That's definitely useful. I would definitely use that, because most of the locations you get now, it gives you exactly the spot where it's at. It doesn't really give you, especially when you're driving an RV or you're towing a rig or whatever you're doing, you got to know where you got to park. That's the important part.
Or speaking of driving an RV down the road, you're looking at 60, 70 feet going down the road, and you're going to need fuel. So we have right now 15,000 fuel locations. Our fuel locations are verified to where you pull into the location. Not, if you take a look, and this is a challenge I'll have anybody take a look at, go to any of the travel planning, any of the GPS platforms out there, and what you'll find is that the fuel stations, campgrounds, whatever, are located.
They just tell you it's on the right or the left.
Or they're in the middle of the woods. We've seen GPS locations 3 miles away from the actual location.
And you're going to improve on that.
Well, we're verifying every last location manually. I mean, so there's
really cool.
Yeah, it's tough, but it's really cool. So the other thing that we're looking at is we want to make sure that there's a lot of categories. You may be interested in Civil War museums. I may hate Civil War museums. You may like movie locations. Movie locations don't even interest me. So we have literally right now right at 250 different location filters. And the different location filters, like for example, we have museums categorized into 40 different categories.
Only 40?
Yeah, only 40. And so, it's like, and we go to all kinds of museums. I mean, right now in the United States and Canada, there's 39,000 museums. Now, some of these museums could be something such as a quilt museum in a small town in the Midwest, or it could be a butt museum in the south side of Chicago.
Or it could be a giant science museum like Boston Museum of Science.
Yeah, so we have those all categorized. And we have descriptions on them, and of course all the locations, telephone numbers, addresses, the whole bit, and descriptions. So so we want to make sure that as you plan this. Now let's take a look at how you can plan it. So you can say, look, I'm going to go to the city of Chicago or Los Angeles. You can just type that in, zoom it in, and you can say, show me everything. Remember, we're going back to categories. Of those 250 categories, we'll let you save your categories. So let's assume you do like science museums, lighthouses, and waterfalls. Those 3 will always be your filter. So when you go to the city of Chicago, Los Angeles, Boston, wherever, and zoom in on it and say, show me everything within 40 miles of downtown, then we're going to show you the filter that you've
I really like that. Now, I think the other part of what you had explained to me earlier is that not only can you filter it down for your specific likes, you're going to have more categories than other people. You're going to have things that actually all of the applications they don't have. Yes, you can look up on those applications, you can look up the major science museums, the minimal science museums, but it gives you everything in one big cluster. You're going to have it down to a science where you're going to have it, you have the location, and not only do you have the location, but by the type of museum, by the type of genre it is, and where to park, where to pull in. All of that stuff is super important. And I think that's definitely missing in the market.
I think the other feature that we have is, let's say you're going to go from the location we are today to Boston or to Chicago. We will also then show you the filter of everything you like on that trip along the way. So you can then filter out and say, show me everything on the road that I'm going to be taking 1 mile, 5 miles, 10 miles, 20, 30 miles wide, 50 miles wide. And you can say, oh, I'm willing to detour off my route to go look at that special museum or that
Yeah, and
special
I don't have that feature. The app we're using right now, it's a big app, and it's a subscription-based app, and it doesn't have that feature. It gives you points of interest, but again, they're very mild, very generic points of interest, and a lot of things that we like to see is not what everybody else likes to see. We tend to shy away from the big cities and the crowded spaces. We like to see I'm not going to lie, we use a lot of Atlas Obscura. So those locations are important, and most of everybody out there, they're not putting those destinations in there. And so we get to an area, and a lot of times we just don't even know what's in that area, because just pressing it on Google or pressing it on something else, you don't see that. And with your platform, we're going to be able to see that now.
Well, speaking of Atlas Obscura, I mean, it's a great platform, but what we also have is we have a feature which is our bucket list feature, and you can create as many different bucket lists as you want. So let's say let's categorize the United States into Northeast, Southeast, those different regionals, and you might say, hey, this is our Northeast 2022 trip, and with that you could then be reading through Atlas Obscura and say, oh, that's cool, boom, that's in the Northeast, I'm going to put that in that bucket list, or that's in the
and then it'll bookmark it on the map
right,
for you.
Or you're watching a YouTube channel. Now here's the cool part that's really interesting. So now you're going to take that Northeast trip, you just say route my trip, and we use a algorithm called the Salesman Least Distance Traveled algorithm. And what that is that takes the whole thing is designed to give a salesman as many sales calls as they can within a day, was what the algorithm was written for. So we apply that same algorithm to the bucket list, and it automatically puts your bucket list in order in the least shortest distance.
That's really cool.
And then routes you onto
that would be super handy to have, especially if you're traveling along and you need to save time. And because saving time is important, because you only have certain people have only a certain window to travel in that area, and that would definitely be a time
So
saver.
you're traveling along with that RV to that place. We have 6,000 bridge and tunnels on the location, so we're going to sometimes say you can't take that route because you got that RV. The other nice part is if you got that Jeep that you drive, you can actually say, we'll actually ask you, are you driving the RV today or are you driving the Jeep? And so if you drive the Jeep,
you can switch between vehicles. That's another nice feature.
Well, let's just switch
so
between
we've done a lot of talking about this, but what's the site called? How can they find this wonderful piece of information and platform to?
So the site is getoutexploremore.com. So it's just getoutexploremore.com, and we won't be launching until late November. And the reason why is because we're really just making sure that we're focusing on providing a good amount of data to the people when we do launch. But we do have a sign-up list. If you go to our area, we'll notify you. If you go to the website and put in your name now, we'll notify you when we launch. And we have, so I know that you were asking me before we were talking about the subscription levels. And so we do have a free subscription level, which will be about 10% that's in the site. And then we've got two other subscription levels, a quarterly and an annual. The annual will be $19, quarterly will be $6. And the reason why
that's pretty much in line with the industry, the way it goes.
We're seeing the industry with a lot of $40 and $45s and $50s. And
there's some of those.
And we said there's a lot of people that just really don't want to pay that. And so
I know we pay more than that for our Garmin, and our Garmin sends us into the lake all the time.
Yeah. So that's hopefully something we will not do. But anyway, that's
so getoutexploremore.com, and I'm Jeff with Down to RV, and I hope you enjoyed this little piece of information here. Another fun fact is on the side here at the end. This is just random camping. You should really get out and camp more. If you're not a camper and you're thinking about it, this is the way to explore the country and do it inexpensively. So get out today, go explore, get down to RV.